I had a post that I did. I had one like on that post. One. From that one post, I got one one-on-one client who worked with me for a year. She was paying me $1,500 a month. That's what, $18,000 from one post that had one like.
One of the things that doctors love to hate is social media, okay? I have had times where people have actually walked up to us and they have said, I want to come to the EntreMD Business School. I know that it will work for my business, but I also know that Dr. Una is going to make me show up on social media and I don't want to. Is there a way that I could run my business without showing up on social media? Okay. And I get it. I get it. I started off again as a socially awkward, super shy, introverted introvert, and I wanted nothing to do with putting myself out there. In fact, the time between when I found out that I could really crush it by showing up online and when I actually showed up online was almost 2 years. So I get it. I understand it. But I also know that social media is something that can deliver millions of dollars in your business, whether you're a coach or whether you run a private practice, whether you're insurance-based or you're a cash-based, whether you're a speaker. It can open so many opportunities for you. I've personally made millions of dollars on social media. I have many contemporaries who are entrepreneurs who have done the same. I have many clients who have done the same as well. I have many clients for whom not only have they made money on social media, but that is how they attracted their rockstar team members. And it has opened opportunities for them that they didn't even think they would need. Okay. So this is something really good. So what I want to do on here is I really want to deconstruct the kinds of posts that I do on social media that have been responsible for bringing in, again, millions of dollars. And this way you have a blueprint, a cheat sheet of sorts. So you don't have to be overwhelmed by social media. You can literally look at what I've done. You can model and paste, right? You can take it, you can make it your own, and you can go for it. Okay. All right. So let's talk about these things. Now, before we get into this, I want to, kind of clear up the air a little bit too. Sometimes people are like, social media is so evil and all of those things. And social media happens to be like money. So if you've listened to the podcast for any length of time, you know that I talk about money is neither good nor bad. It is debt. It is mercury paper with dead men's faces on it. Like literally, that's what money is. And so it takes the shape of whoever has it. And if it's somebody who is prone to doing good in the world and all of those things, that's what the money would do. And if it's somebody who does all kinds of wrong stuff, then that's what the money would do. The money just amplifies whoever the holder is. Okay. And it's the same thing with social media. Now, are there dark sides to social media? Of course. Are there great sides to social media? Of course. I have so many phenomenal relationships that I've built that started off of social media. Most of the people that I've worked with, the first few years, I never met them in person. And then, it was all off of social media. And it has been such a game changer for me. So social media is kind of neutral in a way. You can use it for a lot of good in your business, or it could be your biggest distraction, right? And so the way I like to look at it is I show up on social media to serve. I show up on social media to collaborate. I show up on social media to leave good in the world. I show up on social media to put out my message to let doctors know that they can build profitable businesses. They can live life and practice medicine on their terms. This is what I do on social media. Otherwise, you could be someone who's a consumer on social media. And so we do the doom, people do the doom scrolling and, they're just looking on there and then just so mad because everybody's life looks perfect and theirs is not perfect and all of those things. So you could serve or you can consume, right? Like these are extremes, of course, right? There's some overlap and stuff like that. But, how you choose to show up determines what you'll get out of it. Okay. And so for me, I've chosen to serve. And through that, I've been able to help thousands and thousands of people. And they're people, some are clients, some are not, who've started businesses, who've changed their lives, who've changed their finances, who've negotiated like bosses. For instance, there was a doctor who, talked about how, she'd been binging on the podcast and all of those things. And she was able to negotiate a 40% raise while doing 20% less work. Like there's stories of that everywhere. And for so many of them, the starting point is social media. So again, social media is neutral, but you can use it to do so much good and you can use it to grow your business and you can use it to create all these changes. Okay. So that's the way I want us to think about it. So it's not like, oh, it's bad. It's really neutral. Depends on how you use it. Okay. Now I'm going to talk about these 7 kinds of posts, but it's not only about the posts, right? It's about why am I on there? When I show up on social media, I am on there for physicians. I am on there to help physicians understand that what we are experiencing is not the norm and we can have a new norm. I'm there to show physicians you can have freedom. And that's financial freedom, time freedom to practice medicine on your terms, freedom to live life on your terms, freedom to pursue your purpose. Like, I'm there to show them that I'm there to give them tactics that can work in their business. I'm there to dispel myths. I'm there to showcase things that have been possible for me or for my clients so they can see what is possible for themselves. I'm there to serve. And so these posts, it's not just about posting, it's about creating containers that I can use to serve. The lens through which I see everything that I do is helping doctors move forward. And so for you, if you have a private practice, this is your patients, you're a coach, these are your clients. Like, that's who you have at the back of your mind. That's who you're creating content for. I always tell people, like, I'm not a content creator, I'm an entrepreneur. Content just happens to be one of the tools that I use to get the job that I want done. Okay. So let's talk about a few things here. Okay. Let's talk about these 7 posts. Okay. So the first type of post is what I like to call the debrief post. Okay. This is so fun. And the reason why this is so fun is that you're doing this all day, every day. So you're not needing to make this up. This is something you're already doing. So what is a debrief post? Is you talking about something that you did. It's like you're teaching through your experience, right? And it's really wonderful. So I'll give you an example. Recently, right before, this recording, I had looked at my YouTube channel and we've had like a viral moment of sorts, if you will. And we've had 112,588 views in a 28-day period. Now, to put this in context, in the first 10 months of my YouTube channel, I had 100,000 views. Okay, so to go from 100,000 in 10 months to 112,000, almost 113,000 in 28 days is like pretty impressive. And so I come on social media, I'm like, okay, guys, in the last 28 days, I've had 112,000 views. I've had, 2,900 subscribers, 28,000 watch hours. And who wants to know how I did it? Right? So I did that post. And then, lots of comments like, yes, I want to know. So when I go then do the post, what is that? It's a debrief post. So these are the 7 things that I did. And the response was overwhelming enough that I was like, I'd probably just make a podcast episode out of it. So I will make a podcast episode out of it, but that's called a debrief. Okay. So for instance, if you are a private practice and you're talking about patients, if you and your patients share what you're going through. So for instance, let's say you're like, man, I wanted to gain X pounds of muscle. Okay. And you're like, over the last, 6 months, I gained 4 pounds of muscle. This is how I did it. Right. Or you're like, I've been struggling to eat clean and I was able to do this and that for 28 days. This is how I did it. Or maybe you guys don't share, right? Like, so maybe they have hypertension, diabetes, you don't have any of those. You're like, my client had this and we helped him reduce his medication burden by X. This is how we did it, right? So it's a debrief, okay? Now, the debrief is a how-to in the context of something you went through, okay? Think of it that way. All right. Why is this super powerful? It is so powerful because it resonates so deeply with your clients or your patients, right? Because they have the same experience. And it also positions you as the person who can get those kind of results, right? Because you're saying, I did this, okay? And so when they think about who can I work with, who can help me do this, you're the person who comes to mind because you've done it. Okay, you have the receipts. So that's one. And I've done it for everything. Like I've done it for when we made the Inc. 5,000 list of fastest growing companies, when like all of those things. I just, one debrief after the other. Okay. The second one is very close to the debrief, but I want to include it just because it's a little different. And that is a how-to post. And the how-to post is literally saying, this is how you do this. Okay. It doesn't have to have the story. Okay. It doesn't have to have the story. For instance, if I come and I say, you have a book and you want it to be a bestseller, this is what you need to do, right? And I'm like, number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5. Or it could be just one point I drill home, but I'm saying this is how to, okay? So it's really like the debrief post, but it doesn't have to have the story with it, okay? So that's number 2, really like the debrief, but it's a how to. Okay, so that's the second one. The third one is one of my favorites, okay? And it's the client testimonials. It's one of my favorites because it's a win-win, okay? Your clients or your patients, they feel honored that on their platform, you would put them on blast and say all the amazing things that they're doing and things like that. They love that. Like I have clients when I do that, they get new clients or new patients or new referral sources, or they get invited to be a guest on another podcast or whatever. So that's like me leveraging my credibility to put them in a great light. Okay, those work. And then for you as well, you, the entrepreneur, works for you because again, it's telling people like, I'm not just talking here. Like these are real results that I got for a real person. Okay, so it's wonderful. Both parties win with it. I'll give you an example. And it's really just featuring the wins of your clients, the things that you say you're going to do for people. So recently, we just stepped into the third quarter of the year. And in the EntreMD Business School, we live a quarter at a time. So each quarter we come, we set new goals, and then we reflect on the preceding quarter. And so as people began to do this on one day, this is not the total number of clients who said this, but on one day, I had 3 people say, oh my goodness, I just looked at my numbers. And as of today, so 2 quarters of the year, 6 months of the year, I surpassed all the revenue from all of the previous year, all of 2024. And for me to see that, right? Like, remember, for years, I've been screaming, like, entrepreneurship is the path. We can build profitable businesses. We can build businesses that are growing. We can scale them. We can build businesses we can walk away from, all of these things. And to see them create the results just blows my mind. Okay. So I then came on and I said, when your clients said, when 3 of your clients in one day say this, right? And I'm like, hashtag EBS works or something like that. And, this was a lot of fun for me because then in the comments, somebody said, another student from the EntreMD Business School says, make that 4, right? I was like, oh my goodness, congratulations, yes. And then another student says, make that 5, right? It was just so fun, okay? But what that does, it does a number of things, right? So I told you that, it makes them happy, it makes me happy. And then people are like, wait, like she's not all talk. What she said that she can do, she actually does it, right? So it elevates your brand. It positions your business as a business that gets people results and also makes people more likely to work with you because people don't want, like, if someone is coming to the EntreMD Business School, they're not looking for calls. They're not looking for a portal. They're not looking for a workbook. They want results. Okay. But now we're positioning ourselves as a people who get people results. Like, we don't just talk. We don't talk a good game. We're about it. Right. So it could look like that. It could look like a shout out. Recently, Dr. Rachel Rubin, who is a urologist, fellowship trained in sexual medicine, she was featured on Peter Attia's podcast. And I don't even remember the stats at this point, right? Like over 100,000 views in a short period of time and all this stuff. And it did wonders for her business, for her Instagram page, all of that stuff, her following, her client base. It was just a magical thing. And so then I take a screenshot of her on the podcast with a number of views, circle that. I'm like, big congratulations to Rockstar EntreMD Business School student, Dr. Rachel Rubin, who was featured here and blah, 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 blah. Okay. And was it wonderful for her? Yes, because I lent her my audience, right? So there's a lot more people who saw it, who watched it, who shared it, who talked about it, who amplified it, right? And then it was a win for me because we're positioned as the people who help people build kind of businesses that are featured on those kind of podcasts, right? And or have the kind of messages that are featured on those kind of podcasts, right? So it could look like a shout out. It could also look like a case study. We've done those, right? I think we had Dr. Makija. She's an endocrinologist. And she comes into EntreMD Business School. Her first 90 days, her private practice grows by 122%, right? I want you to think about that, right? And so we interviewed her. She said all those things and we just create a post, right? Like this is her. This is what the challenge was before. She came onto the EntreMD Business School. These are the results that she got, okay? So there are many different ways of doing that. But at the end of the day, is client testimonials, okay? So we've looked at 3, right? We looked at the debrief. We looked at the plain old how-to. We looked at the client testimonials. Okay. Now, the 4th one is one of my favorite, and this is the mission message. Okay. This is the mission message. And if you're like, I don't have a mission message, once we start talking about it, I want you to look and lean in because you'll find it. Of course, my mission is to help doctors build profitable businesses so they have the freedom to live life and practice medicine on their terms. We believe that doctors are able to build great businesses. We believe they're able to build 7 figures, multiple 7-figure businesses. I cannot wait to start saying 8. Okay. All right. And so that's my message, right? And I'll come out and, like physicians are the answer for the physician community. There's no Calvary coming. We're the ones who are going to fix it. And so I have these mission-based messages. I'll give you a few examples. Like, so for instance, I did a post, I said, PE, which is equal to private equity, is not going to save healthcare. PE, which is equal to physician entrepreneurs will. Let the real PE stand up, right? So it's very short. It's almost like you could fit in a quote graphic. It's really short, but it's very powerful, and it's a mission-based man. Like, yeah, we're the ones who are going to save healthcare, which is true. It's not hype. We are the ones. Private equity is not. They're there to invest and, appease their shareholders. Very different narrative. So that's mission-based, right? And it's wonderful because it's galvanizing. People get around it. People tend to share it more. People tend to adopt the language and stuff like that. And it registers. This person is here for us. Person is here to help this community and stuff like that. And so I love the mission message, right? I remember a few years ago at this point, I think, when we were like, oh, doctors, stay in your lane, right? And we come up like, don't tell me to stay in my lane. There's no lane. I'm here for the whole highway. That's mission-based, right? Like that is that mission language, okay? At the time of this recording, we have the Private Practice Physician Month coming up next month, right? And we founded a day, is August 13th, is the National Private Practice Physicians Day, okay? And so in August, we're going to be talking a lot about, private practice physicians, defying the odds, how we can build private practices that work, that thrive in spite of what is being thrown at us, right? How we can build seven-figure practices, multi-seven-figure practices we can exit from, practices without the burnout and all of those things, because we know how to fill our schedules. We know how to get paid for the work that we do. We know how to build profitable teams. So we're taking back our time so we can have more impact, more financial freedom, more time freedom. You're going to hear a lot of that. What is that? That's all mission-based, right? That's all mission message, right? Okay. So to think about it, those are the kind of things that we would talk about in a mission message, right? Okay. All right. So that's number 4. Number 5. Okay. Number 5 is the one that most people will skip, okay? Physician or not. Most entrepreneurs skip this. And this is actually number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then the rest, okay? It is your call to action post, okay? This is the post that will get the least engagement and make you the most money. So you have to decide in this moment if you are a content creator or if you're an entrepreneur. A content creator will be mad because it's messing up with their metrics. And they're like, oh my goodness, I did not get all the dopamine hits I wanted from the engagement. An entrepreneur is like, wow, I only got 7 likes on that post, but I got 4 consult calls and 2 new clients from it, right? I didn't get all of that, but I had, 5 people who made appointments on my private practice from that post, right? So is a call to action post. You will have the least amount of engagement on your call to action posts, but it will make you the most money. Doctor, you know why you're being dramatic? Because I want you to remember this. I don't want you to skip it. When I first learned this was so many years ago, okay? I was doing one-on-one coaching at the time, so you understand how long ago that was. And I had a post that I did, okay? I don't even remember what it was about. I did a post and I linked it to a YouTube video. I had 1 like on that post. One. From that one post, I got 1 one-on-one client who worked with me for a year. She was paying me $1,500 a month for a year. That's what, $18,000 from 1 post that had 1 like. So if you're not willing to stomach the 1 like because it's a thing that had a call to action, you're not going to be able to do it in the volume that is required for you to get the results that you want. You must be okay with the post that gives that's 1 like. Now, that's not to say we don't get better, more engaging, more of that. We're going to work on all that. But if you get thrown off because of the call to action post, because what people tell me is, I don't get a lot of engagement on that, so I'm just going to do all these other stuff and post these funny cat videos. Funny cat videos are going to get you a lot of likes and stuff in the comments and laugh emojis and all of that stuff. Rarely will they translate to dollars. We need to do this. Okay. Now, with this kind of post, it's not only come work with me, okay? So call to action is whatever you use to grow your audience, nurture your audience, or get new clients, okay? So, or get referrals, right? Like you're just moving people along. So for instance, in my world, what that could look like is, listen to the podcast, okay? That could look like, for this podcast, we have a workbook, comments workbook in the comments to get your workbook. It could be an invitation to a workshop or a masterclass that I'm doing. It could be book a consult call or fill out an application for the EntreMD Business School. It could look like go to entremd.com/movement to join the profitable private practice movement, where we are defying the odds and building private practices that thrive, right? Like, so it could be a whole range of them, but you just want to make sure that you're doing it in enough volume, like you're balancing it with the others, but you're doing it in enough volume to create the number of patients or clients that you want. Okay. That's number 5. And why is this important? Because it's a requirement. There's no sales happening. There's no people moving from audience to, clients, to repeat clients, to referral, or all of those things without doing. This must be done. The whole purpose of being in business is to acquire a customer or a client or a patient and serve them in a profitable way. This is the whole point. So asking is what we do as entrepreneurs. It's not something to try to avoid, it's something to learn to become really good at. Okay. We ask people to join our communities. We ask people to work with us. We ask people to continue to work with us. We ask people for reviews. We ask people to refer to us. We ask people all kinds of things. We ask people to come join our team. It's all asking. Okay. And so the more you put in the reps, the more comfortable you'll be with it. The more you do it, the more everything will be fantastic. Okay. All right. Number 6 is a reality TV post. Okay. Without the drama. It's not drama. I call it reality TV so you can kind of get the feel for what it is. It's behind the scenes. It's kind of involving people in your life and things like that. This is one I don't do a whole lot of. Remember? Private, socially awkward. Yeah. I'm not socially awkward at this point, but still very private, right? So yes, do I do it? I do it. And I'm saying this for the person who's like, I don't want to share all the details of my life. I don't share all the details of my life. I never have. I probably never will. Okay, it's just not my jam. It's just not my jam. So the way I want you to think about it is I want you to think of it in terms of I take people behind the scenes of what I do as an entrepreneur, which is what I do. Okay, so when I do photo shoots, a lot of times I will do some reality TV around that, coming in for this photo shoot, fussing at my team because they want to have, 40 other videos done, even though we've done 35. And all of those things. And I share it and it just humanizes everything, right? Like Dr. Una is complaining because her team is making her do more videos. There was even one, my team, they're so bad, like in a good way, but they're bad. And, they record me having not a fit, but I'm like, oh man, I got to do another video. Blah, blah, blah. And they record all of that, right? And they make a reel. So I remember going on Instagram, just going there. And I'm like, wait, why do I have all these likes and comments and stuff? Like, what's happening? And I go and look at the post. And as opposed to me fussing at them because they told me to do more videos and stuff like that, when I thought we were done with the video shoot for the day. And it was so fun. There was so much engagement. It was so encouraging to people because they're like, oh, she fusses about doing this, then this is awesome, right? This is awesome. And so those kind of posts, they're really good. They make you relatable. And you'll be surprised. Sometimes people join because they're like, oh, this person is human. And I like their humanness. Okay. So for instance, I have a few doctors in the EntreMD Business School who have told me that the reason why they joined is because they would read about, my journey with, my kids and homeschooling them. And it seemed like I had a lot of time for them and things like that. And it just made them like, if Dr. Una is doing the business thing she's talking about that way, and she still has this, then I want that, right? And so it humanizes you. It's really great content. So that's the 6th kind of post. The 7th kind of post is what I call the myth busters, okay? And if you're private practice, that could look like, there may be myths around take this herb and you never have to take your hypertension medication ever again, or, like all kinds of stuff that, people believe. For me as a physician, one of the myths that I go after really hard is that we can't build successful businesses or we can't build 7-figure businesses. And so I create content to directly confront that, right? I remember when I did a post and it said the average admission rate into medical school is 3%. The percentage of entrepreneurs who take their businesses to 7 figures is 9%. I'm like, you've defied the odds before, you can defy them again. What is that? It's a myth buster. It's just getting them to go like, hey, wait, That is true, right? And so when I say things like, oh, you've memorized, you learn the Krebs cycle, you intubate, 1 pound babies, you replace hearts, you bring people back from the dead, which is what coding is. If you can do that, you can figure out a 7-figure business. Again, what am I doing? I'm busting the myth. That's what I'm trying to do. People say, oh, lowly pediatrician. Like as a pediatrician, this is just what I'm subject to. And that's why I talk about those things. And I'm like, I will never use pediatrician and lowly in the same sentence, except I'm saying pediatricians are not lowly. That's the only time I would say that. What am I doing? I'm busting a myth. I talk about being a pediatrician a lot and proudly. Why? So that somebody else can say, wait, she's a pediatrician. That's why when pediatricians are talking about their wins, I come up, I'm screaming, you go peds, right? Is the same thing. Okay, so I want you to think about this. If you think about what we talked about, the debrief post, we talked about the how-to post, we talked about the client testimonials, the mission-based one, the call to action, the reality TV, and the mythbusters. I want you to hear me, okay? If you have these 7 things and you kind of start adapting them for yourself, again, irrespective of the kind of business that it is, like you run a private practice and you have reality TV posts, oh my goodness, you're the doctor. Because it's like, oh, that's my uncle who happens to be a doctor. No, that's my aunt who happens to be a doctor. It just gets people to say yes. People work with people they know, like, and trust, right? You may be thinking, well, what if they don't observe boundaries? It's the job of humans to test your boundaries. It is your job to hold your boundaries, right? Like, so that's not a problem. Okay, so if you can take these and then just start experimenting with them. I gave you 7, so you can start experimenting with them. But you see, none of these are random. None of them are like, oh, let's just go post for the sake of posting. It's not that every post is designed to do something to move things along in your business, okay? These are the posts I've used. We actually do not run ads at all until we crossed 1 million in revenue. And I did it on purpose to make a point, because when we first started, then I would hear people say things like, this can't work for me because I'm not using ads. Like I have to find an ads guy, so I'm not going to market. I'm just going to find an ads guy. I'm like, guys, stop it. Stop it. This is not the way this works. Okay, we've used organic content to bring in millions and did the same thing for my private practice, right? I told you guys about the live stream that I did every week and then the posts that we did. We got so many patients from that, so much so that when I started shortening my clinical time, I had to shut those down because it just was working that well, right? Okay, so I want you to take these posts, and for today, what I want you to do is just play with it. Don't make it a thing. Just go like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I just play around with it and create it. Because the thing is this, the more you write, the better you get at writing. The more you communicate, the better you get at communicate. And now you have a framework, okay? There's no guesswork. There's none of that, okay? So I want you to do this. And I want you to put those posts up. And when you do it, tag us. Like put whatever tag you want to put there. And then also put at hashtag EntreMD wins, okay? Like WINS, hashtag EntreMD wins. I want to cheer you on. I want to amplify your posts. I want to do all of those things, okay? I want to see you win. So do that. And just know that there's so many opportunities waiting on you to show up. There's so many new clients waiting for you to show up. So many new patients waiting for you to show up. There are team members. I have clients who have had multiple clients who have had multiple doctors reach out to them and say, I want to come work for you. I want to come work in your private practice. How come? Where did they find them? Literally, they found them based on their online presence, their online brand. The doctors I work in who are running 7 figures and multi-7-figure businesses, one of the things we focus on, like I don't let them let it get out of focus, is their brand, because I'm like, and they've seen it. Their brands have opened up so many doors for them. So many doors that are just beyond wild. We haven't even talked about them on the podcast yet. You cannot afford to play with your brand. It is so powerful. And I did this so that you can confidently, systematically show up on social media and crush it. Okay. And I'm rooting for you. I can't wait to share your story on the EntreMD podcast as you share what you have done, which has taken your brand to a whole new level. Now, as someone who is part of the Calvary, I want to invite you to take this podcast episode and share with at least 10 doctors in your world and say, hey, go listen to this, because guess what? Our voices are not being heard because they're not out there. We're not showing up as much on social media. And that is why misinformation is everywhere. And that is why the things we're going through are still tolerated, because we're just not amplifying our voices. But that changes when you say yes to this and you invite other doctors to say yes to this, and we create a whole new narrative. So be part of the narrative. Share this with 10 other doctors. Go do your posts. When you share them on social media, use the hashtag EntreMDWins, and I will be rooting for you. My team and I, we will be rooting for you because we are here to see you win. All right. See you on the next episode.